I have a database where I track all Ferraris, and over the years, as you input more and more information, you start to see patterns that emerge after you collect enough data. One of those patterns is stolen F40s. Soon after Enzo's death in 1988, the F40's value skyrocketed. It was one of the first supercars to crest $1 million in value. Since they were one of the first cars to be worth more than $1 million, and more than 1,000 of those cars existed, they were one of the first cars to be worth more than $1 billion in terms of the whole model segment. Certainly, all models of cars get stolen occasionally. Whether it's a mass-produced car or a limited edition car, it's going to happen. But of the 1,454 F40s, at least 30 have been stolen. 2% of any car being stolen is alarming. 2% of a limited edition Ferrari being stolen is significant. The F40 was made from 1987 until 1992. There aren't that many. Only 210 came to the United States, of which I only have record of a couple being stolen. A majority of them were stolen in Europe, France, Germany, London. There was one in Kuwait, but a majority of the confirmed stolen F40s were stolen out of Italy. Of the 30 confirmed stolen F40s, 21 of them have been stolen out of Italy, which begs the question, is there some kind of mafia that's going around stealing F40s and just driving them themselves? I'm not an expert on European or Italian insurance, but I suspect there is some sort of evasion or fraud taking place. I could never make my database public. There's too much information that I could never just share with the whole world. But with regards to the stolen F40s, some of those have not been found. Some of those cases are still open. Some of those investigations are still pending. And that information is sensitive and I couldn't go into detail. There are a few thefts of F40s that have occurred over the years that stand out as more interesting than the rest. Back in August 2007, during the Classic Days Schlossdyke annual gathering, Ferrari gathering in Germany, an F40 was stolen from an F40 owner who was attending the event, and it was stolen during the event. It was serial number 79655. Between the time everybody went to sleep and everybody woke up, the F40 was gone. 10 days later, the F40 was found in a parking garage in the Netherlands, and the owner of the parking garage was arrested because in that same garage was also a stolen Harley Davidson. Perhaps one of the most famous F40s is the one owned by Uday Hussein, who was rumored to have repainted this car over and over after sandblasting it through the desert. It was also rumored that he repainted the car to match his outfits. On 2 August 1990, Desert Storm, the war, broke out in the Middle East. This car was stolen from Uday during that month when the war first broke out. I don't know the details of the theft, but I have to assume that as soon as the war broke out, Uday was told or just knew to get out of there and go to a place where he would be safe. And when the people in his area knew that he was gone, they figured he's not coming back anytime soon. I gotta have that F40. There's another video here on VINwiki with Radarosa, Scott, his story of his pursuit of this car. There are several rumors surrounding it, one of which is that Uday himself abandoned it at a gas station, and that's when it was stolen by other people. It's hard to confirm a lot of this, but he put in a lot of work trying to find the car in the hopes that he could buy it. Unfortunately, even I have no idea where it's currently located. On 7 November 2012, a guy named Daniel Glantz from racecarsdirect.com of the UK posted a thread on Ferrari Chat about an F40 that he had for sale. This car was serial number 83931. Once I saw the thread, I went to update it in my database where I realized I had a note that this car had been stolen. So I posted in the thread and I said, hey, listen, this car has been stolen. I don't know if it was ever recovered, but he was also advertising it as an LM, and I knew for a fact that it left the factory as a stock F40. So a few days later, I received word from Rob Lay, who at the time owned Ferrari Chat, And he tells me that the guy who started the thread requested that the thread be unlocked, it be cleaned up, my comments be removed because there was no truth to the fact that the car was stolen. And I replied to Rob and I said, first of all, he still has it listed as an F40 LM when it is definitely a stock F40 from the factory. Secondly, and I sent this to Rob, I have a picture of a fax directly from the factory with the date when the car was stolen and the VIN of the car in question of the theft. Ultimately, I was vindicated. I don't know how that transaction ended up culminating. I don't know if the car went back to the original owner or from whom the car was stolen, but I know that I was able to stop another stolen F40 from being moved through the market. Many of you remember Mark Gold, who went to Japan to buy an F40 that was for sale there, 89692. While he was there, the seller refused to let him have a mechanic overlook the car, so he ended up passing on the deal. We later learned, when Mark returned, that the car was in fact stolen. Does this mean that F40s are being stolen because they're so valuable, or are they being stolen because they're so easy to steal? I don't know. My recommendation to F40 owners, current and future, is to invest in the classic 1980s anti-theft device, the club. I just want to say to everyone who has sent me information over the years, whether you've sent me a single VIN, a single picture, or literally 1,000 of them, I appreciate them all, and it really means a great deal to me. Despite making magnitudes more F40s than the other supercars, the GTO before it or the F50 and Enzo after it, the F40 is still one of the most coveted supercars ever, Ferrari or otherwise. Probably because it's the last car that Enzo physically touched. Physically, he was around it, he approved it, but he also approved the design, he approved the engine. That was the last car where he really was involved. Despite there being so many more F40s than the other supercars, I think that's the main reason why it is so coveted.
Car fires make for great videos, but very bad days for car owners, and I protect my cars from fire by having an element extinguisher in every one of them for every mile. I actually got my first one from Freddie a few years ago as we were shooting Car Trek 1, where a fire was a very real risk, but it's always important to be protected. Element fire extinguishers weigh less than 1/10 of what a traditional fire extinguisher weighs, and they discharge 5 times longer. They also make no mess, and they never expire. So it's worth picking up a few to have around the garage, your house, and of course, in your car. They've got a special bundle offer right now during the month of May for our VINwiki viewers, but it's always a good time to buy a couple of these to keep you, your car, and your home safe. So check them out now at the link in the description below.